Doctor Who is currently going through a critical moment as we have the 60th anniversary episodes released, but these episodes are not just a celebration but they're also a welcoming to new viewers of the show. And I think the fact they're trying to do two things at once has divided fans because they want to see a celebration of these 60 years, but if you do that so much you're going to alienate those new fans you're trying to draw in, so it's not going to work if you just full on go for one thing and not the other. And so what we saw with the first two episodes was familiar faces coming back, and even the stories like in Wild Blue Yonder being reminiscent of previous episodes. And now in the third of this 3-episode celebration we have the Giggle, and that also does use familiar beats, but also it has a major moment in Doctor Who where we see something we've never seen before in terms of a bi-generation. And we'll get all into that, but first let's go to the start of the episode in Soho, 1925. We first see a man enter a toy shop and get greeted by the toy maker, who's played by Neil Patrick Harris. This character hasn't been in Doctor Who since 1966, where he made his debut in The Celestial Toymaker. After being given some suggestions of toys to buy, the man instead wants to buy a toy called Stooky Bill. Also, if you're interested, this is what the real Stooky Bill looked like.
It's a monster! Kill it! Kill it!
The Toymaker then apologises for the rain and makes an assumption based on this man's skin colour that he must be more accustomed to sunnier climes. The man says he was born in Cheltenham and also notices that the Toymaker's accent has slipped and that he's no longer speaking in a full-on German accent. The accent then comes back into full swing and the Toymaker learns that the doll is for the inventor John Logie Baird. Now this is the real life Scottish inventor who's known for his work on early forms of television, and so in this episode we see him given Stooky Bill so he can use him to test for moving pictures. He sets alight and his faint laughter takes us into the opening credits. We then jump back to present day and we continue from where we left off last week, where Wilf told the Doctor that everyone's going nuts and the world's coming to an end. And as you can see, it really is chaotic. It's like a bloody Black Friday sale.
We douse ourselves in pig blood because it does help us slip through the crowd when the doors open.
While this is all going down, we can see the Toymaker gleefully dancing in the background, and he even bumps into the Doctor at one point and dances around with him, and while doing so he speaks with a French accent this time, which shows that this is a character who will just change his look and will change his whole persona to fit whichever situation he finds himself into. The Doctor and Donna get taken by Unit to the Unit Tower, which is basically a knockoff of the Avengers Tower. While up there they meet up with the head of Unit, Kate Lethbridge Stewart, and as we see just in this episode alone, Sharita has come across well as that commanding presence. The Doctor also meets up with former companion Melanie Bush, and they do have a little talk later in the episode which is more aimed for those long-term fans, because those who are new to the show won't really get much from it, and there'll be a few references there which will just go completely over their head. We see some footage of the general public going mad, including a pilot and also, as shown here, the Prime Minister, which at the same time takes a swipe at the politicians in our real world. We then find out the reason the people here haven't gone mad is because they're wearing something called a Zedex, which was invented by the Vlinks, which happens to be this robot here with the spaghetti legs. Kate decides to show the Doctor what would happen if she didn't use the Zedex, and then she does this.
And as for her in that chair, I've seen you walk, I've seen you walking, don't deny it!
The Vlinks confirms that this is happening inside the brain, but as Donna says, it's not affecting her, it didn't affect Wilf, and the Doctor says that that's probably because they were in the TARDIS at one point and so they're out of sync. The question is asked, why can't everybody be given a Zedex? And then we see a clip from the TV which shows someone being anti-Zedex, which is a clear commentary on the whole anti-vax movement with the whole COVID vaccines. Shirley says there's nothing hiding there, so it's not like the Archangel network where we had the Master try and take over the world back when David Tennant was doing his original stint as the Doctor, and like I said at the start of the video, this episode is very reminiscent of that episode. Donna works out that the peaks are music, and then Shirley finds these exact notes in this video footage here of Stooky Bill. And as the Doctor says, it's not music, it's the giggle in people's heads, hence the name of the episode, The Giggle. I think the Doctor wasn't happy that Shirley called him jammy in the first episode, and so he bites back here.
If there were secret pictures inside every television, we would have found it.
Why, because you're so clever.
Thanks to the sonic screwdriver, the Doctor reveals that Stooky Bill is in every screen around the world. The Doctor then has a message for the curators or the haters, whichever you prefer.
That's human, that's you, that's who you are. using your intelligence to be stupid.
As all the world leaders are affected by the Giggle, the Doctor gives permission to fire the laser at the satellite. Shirley tells the Doctor when Stooky Bill was first televised, and so the Doctor and Donna go back in time to try and get some clues about what's going on here. Donna questions the Doctor why he doesn't talk about his old companions much, and he says that he's busy, and this will then play into what we see later in the episode about the Doctor never stopping. The Doctor and Donna come across the Toymaker while he's juggling some balls. They have a bit of a ball showdown, and then the Doctor tells Donna to go back to the TARDIS, which he never does usually, which really does show the magnitude of the threat they have in front of them. And the Doctor now realises that this is the Toymaker.
The Toymaker.
They then play a game of hide and seek, and it's very much a House of Horror situation here. We even have a long corridor again like we had last week, and also like last episode, the Doctor and Donna get split up. But before that, the Doctor realises that it was his fault that the Toymaker's here in the first place because he played a game at the edge of the universe last episode with the whole salt thing. Next we get a moment where David Tennant really shows why he's so good as the Doctor, because he really does get across well how troubled this character is.
Take away the toys. What am I? What am I now?
In the room the Doctor goes in, we see the guy from earlier who bought Stooky Bill, and it shows what happens to someone who loses to the Toymaker. And I do love this shot here where we see him as the puppet master and really shadow over the Doctor. In Donna's room we have this doll who's approaching her and she's rhyming, and these babies are coming down from the ceiling as well. She does get attacked by them, but she does sort them out herself. And this whole dollhouse theme very much reminded me of Resident Evil.
Everything would be better if Rose wasn't born.
Fucking monster.
The Doctor and Donna reunite, and then we have the Toymaker perform a little puppet show for them where he shows off some of the old companions the Doctor had and also how they met their end. After each one he responds to the Doctor in this fashion, and this is very much now a new meme.
Oh, well, that's all right then.
Toymaker also gets into the flux, but then the Doctor challenges the Toymaker to a game. Before they play the game, the Toymaker does say some interesting lines, with this one in particular causing a lot of online discussion about the extent of its meaning.
I made a jigsaw out of your history. Did you like it?
The Toymaker also says that he beat the Master, and the Master is now a golden tooth in his mouth, and we also get this line here where we're not completely sure who he's referring to.
There's only one player I didn't dare face. The one who waits.
The Doctor decides to play the game of just cut the card, so highest card wins, and he does not win. He loses because the Toymaker got a king and the Doctor only got an 8. The Doctor says that because he won the game years ago, it's now 1-1, so they agree to a best of 3, but that's going to have to take place in 2023. Back in the present day, the laser does destroy the satellite, but the Doctor says that's only a link in the chain, and Donna has to try and sort out the mainframe. The Doctor goes on to say that if they can find the entrance that this elemental force used, they can potentially turn that into an exit. We then hear some faint music playing, and it happens to be Spice Up Your Life by the Spice Girls, and that's where we get the big grand entrance from the Toymaker, where Neil Patrick Harris really does get into his element here. Also, sorry to Kate, but this was just hilarious. After he makes that chaotic entrance with the rose petals bloody everywhere, he then finds his way onto the galvanic beam. The Doctor proposes to take the games into the stars with himself and the Toymaker playing for eternity. However, the Toymaker says that he just can't resist enjoying himself in this playground that is planet Earth. The Toymaker then shoots the Doctor with the laser beam because he says that he played the first game with the past Doctor, the most recent game with the current Doctor, and now he's going to play the final game with the new Doctor. The Doctor says it feels weird this time, so he asks Donna and Mel to pull, his arms I should clarify. And there we have it, the bi-generation. Now this is a huge twist for Doctor Who, which I will get into more later on, but let me know your thoughts on this massive decision. They do eventually disconnect themselves, and we see that Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor could use some trousers. Back to the situation at hand, the Doctors challenge the Toymaker to a game, this game being catch. They then get the most intense session of catch I've seen since that episode of Friends.
Oh, it's so hard.
The Toymaker loses the game and falls into the box, and he says that his legions are coming. Kate tells the unit soldiers to take the box away into the deepest vault and bind it with salt. Also, we have another mystery as we see someone pick up the golden tooth which holds the Master inside, Who is that? Let me know your thoughts. The Doctor shows the new Doctor around the TARDIS and they have a conversation where they mention lots of things from their history, including Sarah Jane for example, and they say about how much they've been through and that now this old Doctor, David Tennant's Doctor, can finally have some rest while this new one goes and takes over. One of the issues is that we have one TARDIS and two Doctors, but the new Doctor thinks of an idea that because they won the game, they should get a prize, and they do get a prize, and that is a duplication of the TARDIS. Well, kind of, because this new one is now wheelchair accessible and also has a jukebox. The new Doctor wastes no time to get going and says goodbye to the old Doctor and Donna. And so for David Tennant's Doctor, he's basically retired with Donna's family. He's still got the TARDIS there in the garden and he goes off different places now and again, but it's not constantly ongoing. And to be honest, it is a bit difficult to believe this because I know he's got in the back of his mind that there is a new Doctor doing his good work out there, but still, you're still a Doctor. But I do think that David Tennant has been left around because this Disney and BBC deal is a big thing, and so if Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor doesn't do so well in terms of ratings, then David Tennant is that safety net. And just before the episode ends, we go back to the new Doctor as he's on his way in the TARDIS. And I gotta say, for Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor so far, he does come across as a very energetic Doctor. And I think I will watch the Christmas special because I want to see how he is in his first full episode and also see his new companion, Ruby. These things here, which look like Grogu's cousins, are apparently singing goblins, so we'll see all them as well in that episode. We also got our first look at the new sonic screwdriver, which looks very different than ones we've seen before, and as a few people mentioned as well as Ncuti in an Instagram story, it does look a little bit like a Sky TV remote. In terms of this episode, The Giggle, I enjoyed Neil Patrick Harris a lot as a toy maker, and I'd love to see more of him in that role. I would though have liked to have seen a bit more of the House of Horrors element we had in the middle there. And in terms of the games, they were very basic. We just had split the cards and catch, so yeah, I was hoping we might have got a bit more of an inspired choice in that regard. But if I were to rank these three specials, I think I'd go for Wild Blue Yonder at the top, then it'd be The Giggle, and then followed by the Star Beast. But let me know your rankings in the comments below. And also on the By Generation, it feels so much like an insurance move over a creative one, so I'm not completely sold on that, but we'll see how Ncuti does in his first episode at Christmas. And then from there I'll decide what to do going forward, whether I'm going to watch the show or not. I think I will give it a chance, more than just that Christmas episode, and then we'll see how the first season gets on. And referring back to the start of the video, I can really understand why people will be upset that these 60th anniversary specials don't feel so special, because even if you look back to the 50th anniversary, that was like a big milestone moment for Doctor Who, and they really did show that in a great way. Whereas here, like I said at the start, it really is more trying to focus on the new, get the new audience on board, than it was to really showcase what's been so great about Doctor Who in the last 60 years. It's to try and now build on that new generation. But anyway, let me know all your thoughts on these big decisions in the comments below. And if you do fancy some more content, I have recently started a membership club on the channel. If you click the join button down below, you can find out more info there. But in the meantime, if you want to watch another video, on screen is my review for the Disney film Wish.